That was here? I don't think I'm gonna be coming here anymore. That's kind of scary.
Well, good evening. And first at 5, TriMet riders expressed disbelief over a gruesome attack at a MAX station. We want to warn you, the details here are extremely disturbing. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. Police say the suspect chewed off the victim's ear and part of his face. Let's bring in Mike Benner from outside the Multnomah County Jail. It is disturbing, Mike. What have you learned about the suspect?
Yeah, Laurel, authorities are identifying the suspect as 25-year-old Corn Kramer, although he was booked into the Multnomah County Jail on an assault charge under the name L. Baker, because that is the name he gave authorities when he was arrested Tuesday morning. Regardless, news of this attack just shakes you at your core. The details are simply disturbing, and I can tell you that everyone we spoke to today thought so as well. Tuesday morning at the Cleveland Avenue MAX stop in Gresham, a security guard patrols the platform just hours after an attack that's left riders in shock.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's weird what the world coming to. I mean, people do bizarre things.
Bizarre is one way to describe what happened here. Horrendous is another. Police say around 2:15 in the morning, they responded to reports of a man assaulting another man. Officers arrived to find the suspect on top of his victim, a 78-year-old man from Hillsborough. Investigators say the suspect had chewed off the victim's ear and chewed off some of his flesh to the point his skull was visible.
That was here? I don't think I'm gonna be coming here anymore. That's kind of scary.
It was, pretty bloody. Not something our officers see every day.
Jerem Swayze of the Gresham Police Department says officers quickly apprehended the suspect, identified as 25-year-old Corn Kramer. Police say Kramer recently moved to Portland from Georgia.
Investigators are looking into whether drugs played a factor into the suspect's actions, but we're not sure at this time.
What we do know is that Tuesday morning's attack comes less than a week after a woman pushed a 3-year-old girl onto the MAX tracks at the Gateway Transit Center.
What people do is it's ridiculous. I mean, it's a shame that our city becoming what it is.
The suspect in last week's assault and the suspect in Tuesday's attack are both off the streets. For that, TriMet riders are grateful, but they're still in disbelief.
I mean, who would do such thing? We're human beings. I mean, I can't imagine people doing this kind of stuff, but it's a shame. That's all I can say.
It's worth mentioning the victim is reportedly in stable condition and should be okay. That, of course, is good news. In the meantime, we did reach out to TriMet for an interview. They told us nobody was available to go on camera, but they did release a statement saying that they value the safety of employees and riders above all, adding that the MAX Blue Line was not running at the time of this attack, and it's unclear if the victim and suspect were even using the transit system. Back to you.
A lot of folks shaken up, Mike Benner, and wanting to know simply why. Thank you, Mike. We have new details this evening about the man who led police on a chase before he was shot by an Oregon State trooper. 40-year-old Stephen Schmidt-Shelton of Corvallis is now out of the hospital. He's facing multiple charges, including attempted murder. Authorities say the trooper fired their gun here near the Albany train depot yesterday afternoon. Now, according to Albany police, the chase started in Corvallis along Peoria Road near Highway 34. Police say Schmidt-Shelton didn't stop for officers and then fired a gun at them multiple times. Authorities used spike strips in a maneuver to stop the vehicle, and an Oregon State trooper shot Schmidt-Shelton. We heard from a neighbor who watched the moments after the shooting unfold.
As I got there, they were hauling the suspect away in the ambulance towards Good Sam in Corvallis. There have been a few car chases that have gone by, but they're fairly rare, and for one to end, right by me with a police shooting, that's very unusual for Albany, yes.
Well, the suspect is now in the Lynn County Jail. No officers were hurt.
The man charged with murdering 4 University of Idaho students made his first court appearance earlier today in Pennsylvania. Brian Kohberger waived extradition, meaning he'll soon head to Idaho to face charges. Reporters shouted questions at Kohberger as he walked into the courtroom, but he did not respond. During the brief hearing, he told the judge he does not have mental health challenges. We expect to get more details about how police link Kohberger to the murders after he appears in an Idaho courtroom. Law enforcement sources tell NBC News DNA evidence played a key role.
And when Koberger arrives in Idaho for his next court appearance, he'll likely come face to face with the families of the 4 victims. Now, one of those people will be the father of Kaylee Gonzalez. NBC News talked to Steve Gonzalez before today's hearing. He said he didn't know of any connection between Koberger and his daughter and promised when the suspect appears in Idaho, he and other parents will be there.
But I think my daughter, we had that ceremony, and I think we've done everything that we can at this point in time. And now our next mission is really to find justice.
Gonzalez also told NBC News, quote, "There is a lot of evidence that is yet to be discovered in the case." Now, after waiving extradition, it's not immediately clear how soon Koberger could be transferred to Idaho. And tonight, we're also hearing from those who knew Brian Koberger. Our sister station in Pennsylvania talked to a woman who says she grew up with him and knows him personally.
She said the person they arrested was Brian Koberger, and immediately I freaked out naturally. I went back inside work and I called about 8 of my friends because it was terrifying. It was a shock because there's literally 7 billion people in this world and I know him. I was friends with him. Like, that's terrifying.
Well, Arntz now lives in Virginia but grew up in the Poconos and attended the same high school as the suspect.
We've been telling you how 2022 set a new record for homicides in the city of Portland. A local reverend who's the leader of the Interfaith Peace and Action Collaborative says more needs to be done so we don't set another record this year. Bryant Clerkley spoke with him today. Bryant, how many homicides did Portland see last year?
Hey Laurel, the city saw 96 homicides in 2022, 6 more than the 90 in 2021. A year ago, Reverend Dr. KGW Matt Hennessy put out a list of things the city could do to improve upon the gun violence epidemic. Now he says in 2023, there's some different approaches that can be taken in order to not get the same outcome.
Matt Hennessy is no stranger to loss.
Yeah, my own stepson was killed in May of 2021 in broad daylight.
Every time he hears of a scene like this, he remembers his own family's overwhelming grief.
It's very difficult when you lose a member of your family on the street this way.
It's why he's part of the Interfaith Peace and Action Collaborative, which brings problem solvers from all backgrounds together with the goal of eliminating gun violence. Last year, he came up with some steps he felt the city should take to cut down on the gun violence. Some of those goals were met.
It's very important that the city make this a priority, number one. Secondly, to really invest in community-based organization to make sure that the mayor makes emergency declarations so that there can be a focus on gun violence.
Mayor Wheeler did announce an emergency declaration last summer to address the gun violence. The goal was to reduce gun violence by 10% over the next 2 years. Dr. Hennessy says this issue won't be easy to solve. He says this year, city leaders as well as himself need more boots on the ground, which means meeting face-to-face with gang leaders and people involved in crime.
It's very important that we really reach out to those who are calling the shots on the street to make sure that we sit down with them and really talk with them and say, what can we do? Because quite frankly, it's clear that the systems have failed.
Hennessy says victims of gun violence should also be memorialized. He would like the city to launch a website that details when and where the victim was shot. Laurel.
Thank you, Bryant. Today, the family of Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin thanked everyone for their prayers and compassion after Hamlin collapsed during Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Hamlin suffered cardiac arrest in the first quarter of a game against Cincinnati, collapsing after tackling another player. As of this evening, he remains in critical condition while undergoing testing and treatment. The Bills say Hamlin was sedated and spent the night in the ICU, and people around the world have shown their support over the last 24 hours by donating to a toy drive he set up on GoFundMe at the end of last year. At last check, it has raised more than $5 million now. The NFL also announced today that the Bills-Bengals game will not resume this week. The league has not made a decision on when the teams could potentially play.
People were left to wonder what exactly happened to Hamlin during last night's game.
You know what? It was difficult to watch, especially for coaches and teammates who were visibly shaken and knelt together then in prayer. Let's bring in our Daisy Caballero, who talked to a heart doctor here at OHSU. Daisy, it seems like all sides here point to the seconds before he collapsed on the field there.
Yeah, David Laurel, that is right, and that's what I am told. That's what medical experts are speculating actually set things off. It's something called commotio cordis, and it's when you get hit really hard in the chest at the perfect time to stop your heart.
Just praying. We're praying that, he pulls through this and he makes it through this.
Chances are you've seen this video by now. Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin takes a hit, jumps right up, and then suddenly collapses without bracing himself onto the field during Monday night's football game against Cincinnati. Leaving his team, football fans, and medical experts questioning what exactly happened. After 9 minutes of CPR, they got a pulse back and he was rushed to the hospital. It was later announced Hamlin had gone into cardiac arrest.
Yeah, I was actually watching the game on TV last night, so I saw it in real time.
Dr. Charles Hendrickson is a cardiac electrophysiologist that specializes in heart rhythm at OHSU and believes Hamlin potentially suffered one of two things, but says it's not very common to see this happen in American football.
Looking at this event, one thing that it might have been was something called commotio cordis, which is a very funny phenomenon where if you get hit with the right amount of force at exactly the right time in the middle of your chest, that can induce this ventricular fibrillation where your heart isn't beating.
Dr. Hendrickson says it's pretty rare, but is most common in younger people and kids, and is usually associated with a small ball hitting the chest from a baseball or a lacrosse ball.
There's also a possibility, and without knowing any of these details, kind of statistically, it's more likely that this is hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is an abnormality of the wall of the heart, which may or may not have been seen before, or even a coronary artery, the artery that feeds blood to the heart coming off of the wrong place. Those are the two more likely causes of arrest in a young person.
Now, Hendrickson hopes people use this time to learn CPR. He definitely believes it helped Hamlin stay alive, and you can take an American Heart Association course or just simply watch a video on YouTube. David Laurel?
Yeah, CPR saves lives. It is as simple as that. Thank you, Daisy.